Hi, everyone. Welcome back to day 25 of our nursing school mindset edit. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Pop into the comments and let me know that you are here so I can see your faces. So, today we're talking about nursing school stress, which is probably the one unifying experience that all students face at one point or another. So, we'll talk about some reasons why nursing school can induce stress and then maybe some steps to take to mitigate that a little bit. So, hi, Sally. And this one just says Facebook user. You have to click on the thing to give, what's it called? The software I use permission to see what your name is. And I forget how to add that in here. Let me just see if I can, hang on real quick. Nope. There's Oliver. Oh, I don't see it. Somewhere there's a link. I don't know. Don't worry about it. Hello to you too. Okay, so we're talking about nursing school stress, you guys. And what I see is the biggest problem with nursing school related stress is that it's not something that you're just going to experience when you're in class, right? It's not just something you're going to experience when you're in clinical. It can bleed over into all other areas of your life, which is really unfortunate and really, that in and of itself causes stress, right? Because it feels like you can't get away from it. So, some students, have written to me asking for help with dealing with this. And the overall themes that I hear are they feel like the stress is unrelenting. They feel like they're barely hanging on. They're clawing their way to the finish line. They're pushing, pushing, pushing all the time. So if that feels like something you've experienced, pop yourself into the chat. Rochelle, you haven't missed anything. Good morning. We were just getting started. We're talking about nursing school stress today. So, as I was just describing that, you guys, that is exactly how I felt working in the intensive care unit. So, that feeling of it's relentless, it's never ending, it's kind of a crushing amount of stress, and I feel like I'm just clawing my way to the finish line. That's basically how I felt most days working in the ICU. Like I was just trying to survive till 7:15 p.m. We'll talk about that another time. But anyway, the first thing I want to say is if you are feeling an undue amount of stress that is really affecting your ability to cope and function normally, please seek mental health counseling and services. Okay, reach out to your school, see what services are available there. Start there because they might be free. Okay, I just want to caveat that. Please reach out for help when you need it. Okay, there's no shame in asking for help. It's actually very courageous and brave of you. All right, let's talk about some of the sources of nursing school stress. If you haven't started school yet, I'm not saying all of this to frighten you. I just think that knowledge is power, and the more you know, you can anticipate and have a plan, right? So I don't want you to be blindsided by anything. So, some of the sources of nursing school stress are the first one I would say, especially for the new student, is the unknown, right? So many unknowns. And I wish I could say that goes away after those first few weeks. It doesn't. There's just other unknowns, okay? So you have unknown about what is nursing school like. That's basically why I wrote the Nursing School Thrive Guide, my book, because students just have so many questions and it's unlike the other types of schooling that you've been through. Big unknown there. What is nursing school like, right? Um, what are the tests like? What's clinical like? And then each semester, well, what's this class like? Like students often head into, when they get into OB and mental health, I see this so much is like all of a sudden they're really apprehensive about not knowing what to expect, right? You got through med surge 1, that kind of set the stage for advanced med surge. but now you're learning OB. Well, that's completely different. So there's unknowns with that. Mental health, whole other thing, right? And then when you graduate, you've got the NCLEX. Well, that's a huge unknown. And then starting a job, talk about the biggest unknown of them all, right? So get comfortable with being uncomfortable as soon as you can. That's what I tell students, because you're always going to be a little bit uncomfortable as a nurse. And if you're not doing it right, okay? When I'm getting a patient like the other day in the recovery room, so I left the ICU for a bunch of reasons. That horrible feeling was one of them, but we'll talk about that another time. I work in the recovery room now. So I get patients fresh from surgery, and it's just that right amount of critical care. And then I recover them, get them kind of balanced out, and then they go out, and it's great because I don't have this never ending high level of stress. It kind of goes like this, which I like because I get a little bit of a break. But anyway, got a patient the other day that had a pericardial window. I've never had a patient who had a pericardial window done. Cardiac stuff scares me. I don't know why. It just does, because it's not in my comfort zone, right? I was uncomfortable, and I was okay with that because I'm uncomfortable at work all the time. When I get a patient that I've never seen their surgery or their disease condition before, yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable, and rightfully so. So get used to getting uncomfortable and then finding a way to get comfortable. So when you're trying to find a way to get comfortable with whatever class you're taking, whatever clinical situation you're in, knowledge is power, right? If you're going into OB and you're uncomfortable with that, what can you learn? Read the syllabus. Talk to other students who've already taken that same class at the same school with the same professor. Like, try to get information. You will learn a little bit, and even just knowing a little bit will pull back on that uncomfortable feeling, okay? So the unknowns, that's a big one. The overwhelming workload would be another one. So we all know it's busy. It is. I don't know what to say about it. Just accept it, accept that it is there, right? And to this, I would say very, very careful planning is going to be your best ammunition against feeling super stressed about the overwhelming workload. All right, Rochelle says, oh my God, the workload. Yes. Um, so I recently did a whole video about how to use a planner for nursing school. And we went step by step through, here's how I do it, here's how I prioritize, here's how we do time blocking. So we know we are going to get everything done. Once you have everything in your planner with the exact day and time that you're going to work on it and complete it, yes, you're still really busy. Yes, you still have a lot to do, but seeing that it will and can get done eases a little bit of that stress, okay? So the overwhelming workload would be another one. The volume of content that you need to learn, it kind of dovetails in with overwhelming workload. The workload is also, I'm not going to lie, things that you'll perceive as busy work, assignments, discussion board posts, things like that. Actual learning, the volume of content, which to me is the most important element, right? Because you're going to use this knowledge to go take care of actual human beings. That's where the biggest amount of pressure is. And it's a lot. If you've seen your textbooks, if you bought any books yet, or you're already in school, you'll know these are probably the biggest textbooks you've ever had and ever will have. They're huge. Like my med surg book, I swear, was that thick. So it's a lot of information. And Sheena, it is, what day did we do the planner walkthrough, you guys? That was on the 2nd. So it's on the YouTube channel. If you go there, I will link to it. And then it is also here in the group, but things are hard to find in the Facebook group. So I'll provide a link for you, Sheena. Okay. And if I don't, DM me and remind me, please, because I forget things. Okay. So getting your schedule in place before school starts key. And I'll link to that planner video so you guys can get kind of an idea of that. And then the volume of content, as I was saying, it is a lot, right? So really helpful to really know your learning style. And maybe your top two or maybe even your top three. Like there's probably one that's going to come out way ahead, possibly. And then there's going to be one, maybe a third that are secondary. Learn what those are and maximize the heck out of using those learning styles. Okay, and we talked about this in a previous video. I'm just going to try to look and see what day that was so you guys can find it. Dun, 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 dun. I can't see it, you guys. My handwriting is sometimes a little bit atrocious, but I'll find the link to that. Having multiple priorities is another really big source of stress for students. I mean, of course, there's priorities in your life. You know, there's school, there's family, there's home, there's kids, there's job, there's all of that. But just within school itself. So in 1 week, you could have an exam, you could have a skills check off, you could have a paper due, you could have a group project due, you could have 10 quizzes to do, you could have 4 discussion board posts to do, a care plan to do. Like it's just a lot of, and all of that seems important, right? Varying degrees of importance, but yes, it all has to get done. So constantly feeling like you're doing this juggle of your competing priorities is another reason that very careful planning really comes into play, okay? And then another reason students feel a lot of stress is the level of scrutiny. Not really used to the level of scrutiny that you're under in nursing school. So not just with the exams, I'm not so much talking about the exams, but in skills lab, right? You've got somebody watching your every single move and calling you out when you do something incorrect, not because they're trying to be mean or embarrass you. They want you to be a safe nurse, right? So there's a high level of scrutiny there. There's also a very high level of scrutiny in clinical, where you've also got a patient and a patient's family and everybody watching your every move. That's stressful, right? And also in sim lab. So lots of areas where you feel observed, you feel scrutinized, you feel judged. I want to just say to that, let go of feeling negative towards that. I know it can be scary. Try to keep the mindset of everyone who's observing, scrutinizing, judging me in this moment wants me to succeed. They're cheering for me and they want me to be a safe nurse. That's all it is. So if you can separate your fear of being judged and replace it with, I've got a cheerleader here who's coaching me, that can really help that, okay? And just you have to get used to that because it's constant in nursing school. And then guess what? When you're working, it's constant at work as well. So get used to that one. I would also say the other thing that really causes students a lot of stress is just simply not seeing your family, not seeing your friends like you want, not doing your social activities, not doing the things that bring you joy as much. So the stress builds up and up and up, and then there's not really a release or an outlet for that. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second. You guys are asking a bunch of questions, so let me just pop in here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, 1 second, you guys. Okay, Teresa says July 20th was the learning style one. Teresa, why can't I read my handwriting? Oh, there it is. Bigger in Dallas right there. Okay, thanks, Teresa. And then let's see. Nikki asks, I was listening. I had mentioned a study tip that really helped you was using an anatomy atlas. I don't remember, Nikki. Honestly, anatomy and physiology was now like 15 years ago for me. So I don't remember which one I used, but it had photographs. So it wasn't just drawings. It was photographs of all of the, I mostly remember the bones. I'm picturing it in my head. I don't remember the name of it, and I don't still have it. So, but any atlas is probably going to be good, okay? I'm sorry that I couldn't be more helpful for that. Rochelle, yes, you can access the videos on YouTube. They're also here on the Facebook page. Probably easier on YouTube. I'll see what we can do to get you links, okay? Thank you, Stormy, who says they are under the lives on the Facebook page. And then Teresa is sharing an atlas. Okay, very good. Thanks, Teresa. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we're going to address some of these stress factors now that you kind of know what they are. So I mentioned a few things already. when you're looking at the unknown, right? That was that first one that we talked about. Can you learn from other people's experiences? So when I was in nursing school, I had a little blog on blogger.com. I don't know if you guys remember blogger.com. It makes me seem really old, but I had a little blog where every now and then I would just write a little thing. It was more like a personal, not really personal diary, but you know what I mean? I wasn't really expecting anyone to ever read it. But I saved all of those. So I ended up putting them on my current website because I thought, well, maybe somebody will read this and get a feel for what nursing school is like. So if you go to my website and you search for, I want to say Throwback Thursday, because that's kind of the theme that I was going with at the time, you'll find all of these entries there I put into one post. And you can kind of read through what my nursing school experience was like. Join Facebook groups. If you're in my Facebook group, great. You're around other students going through nursing school. Watch YouTube videos of people vlogging about their nursing school journey. These are great ways to get like a sneak peek into what this big unknown is, right? So I would definitely check into those things. Again, I wrote a book about it, Nursing School Thrive Guide, and you can also join my boot camp as well, and I'll link to those things. Careful planning was another thing that I mentioned, you guys. I will link to that planner video for you so that you can get an introduction to that. And focusing. So when you have a task to do, because it's in your planner and you know you're going to do it, you have to stay relentlessly focused on that task. Because if you don't, you won't finish it in the time allotted and then it bleeds over and now your schedule is all out of whack, right? And you're playing catch up. You don't ever want to be playing catch up in nursing school. You want to, I wouldn't even say be on time. I would say be a little bit ahead all the time, okay? Just, not vastly ahead, but a little bit is really helpful. We talked about knowing your learning style, super important. One of the things that caused me a lot of stress when I was in school was I felt really stuck sitting at my desk all the time. So I started making audio notes and quizzing myself with audio and listening back to those things. And the change that it had on my entire life was super, super dramatic. I was free from my desk. I could get up and actually move around. And some people learn really well by moving their body as their learning material. So this was great for me. I could fold laundry. I could go for a walk. I could clean. I don't know about you, but I love to clean when I'm stressed. So that was a great stress reliever. I could go exercise. It was life-changing. So not only did it switch things up and allow me to release some stress because I wasn't just sitting all the time, but it tapped into I learned really well by listening to things. So that was super helpful. It was like a double whammy on that one. When you are taking exams, how many of you are going back to take exams in person? And Jennifer, thank you. I'm glad you love it. Let me know in the comments if you are going to be back in person to take exams, because I'm also in a nursing education Facebook group, and that was the conversation that came up the other day, how they're bringing people back into the classroom to take exams because of the amount of cheating that's going on with at-home exams, which is just boggles my mind. Like, why would you do that when you have to go take care of a patient? Okay, so some of you are going back into the classroom to take exams. Okay, so if this is your first time with that in-person testing environment, I'm going to help you see into the future a little bit, okay? Here's what's going to happen. There's an exam room, right, with all the computers in it. You are going to walk towards the exam room and you're going to see your classmates sitting outside the exam room in their little groups with their flashcards, with their notes, cramming and quizzing each other and saying, do you think they're going to ask about this? Is this going to be on the test? Basically, amping themselves up into what I call the pre-test freakout, okay? That is super, super stressful. So on exam day, here's my exam day routine. No studying on exam day. study the day before, the evening before, put your books away, get good rest, get up in the morning, eat a good breakfast, hydrate, do whatever you do, go to the exam, don't talk to anybody, don't pull out your notes, don't do anything like that. Listen to music, look at cat videos online, whatever will get you into a calm space. Feel that you have studied well, trust yourself, go in there, relax, take a few deep breaths, hit start on that exam, and you'll be amazed at how different you feel when you enter into the exam without that extra stress of that pre-test freak out. And then after the test, you'll see people sticking around to say, did you answer this one? What did you put for that one? Amping themselves up again after the fact, which is totally worthless. So just avoid all that. Go do something fun for yourself. Okay. All right. Yeah. Online testing, it seemed really intense and weird, and the guidelines and just absolutely bizarre. So yeah, I probably would have too. Okay, so that's the exams thing. And then I really want you guys to schedule your self-care. I know we talk about this all the time. Easier said than done, right? Put it in your calendar. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be taking a whole day off every week. It can be 30 minutes on a Wednesday where you watch Office reruns, whatever it is, or see a friend, or go for a walk, or something that is just for you, okay? It doesn't have to be huge, but it has to be something, and put it in there, okay? And let me know, pop into the comments and let me know what that might be for you. Something doable that you can commit to doing that will make you feel cared for and a little bit less stress, okay? Exercise is always good. Laughter is always good. Socializing is always good. Those types of things. So anyway, you guys, that's kind of the general thoughts I have about nursing school stress, maybe where it comes from, some things you can do to lessen it. Anytime you guys have a checkoff or a multiple attempt exam, another source of stress are those things, right? Because they're very high stakes. If you've got a skills checkoff or an exam with like 2 or 3 attempts, I really, really want you to try your best. Don't blow off that first attempt knowing that I'll just try again next week or in a few days. One and done. That's what I want for you. Do it once, pass it, get it done, move on. Students that had to go back and repeat exams, checkoffs, now you've got still something on your plate, right? It's not falling off your list of to-do items. And even though it might not be that much, it is cumulative and it adds up. And yes, if you failed your first checkoff or your first exam, you have to study for the next one. So really try to do the one and done type of things. Okay, so Teresa is going to exercise. Very good, Teresa. Nikki's going for a walk, and Jennifer reads and runs. Okay, awesome ideas, you guys. So tomorrow we are talking about some common nursing school frustrations, because I don't want you guys to be blindsided by those either. So we'll talk about those tomorrow. Let me see what time that is. What's tomorrow? Friday? That is at 10 o'clock Pacific. So I'll see you tomorrow, Friday at 10 o'clock Pacific, to talk about some common nursing school frustrations. Okay, bye everyone.